excitement is, this subject is one I'm most passionate about of all the things that I communicate or worked on or focused on in my life. And that's because I believe if you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not happy. Because no matter what happens, no matter how much love we have from our children or how much we accomplish in our lives and how much we achieve, I personally believe in our soul, everybody wants that experience of aliveness. So I'm not just about marriages. I had 4 different fathers, so I know the impact that things can come from being in a position where families don't stay together. But frankly, I wouldn't have changed it. To see my mother miserable and unhappy, to stay with somebody, which is what she did with one of those relationships for 10 years, I wouldn't want to see her do again. So I'm not for the institution by itself. I'm not for the relationship. I'm for the people in it. And what I really believe, though, is it's a critically important institution, and I've supported it amazingly, but I want to make sure that the people within it don't just settle for being able to say, I'm still married. To me, that's not an accomplishment. I really don't. And I say that also because, that sense of aliveness affects your kids as much as anything else as well. And so I really believe that any relationship can be brought to love and passion again. But the challenge, of course, is that most people today have a perspective, an expectation, where the highest standard they have is not for themselves, but what they expect from their partner. And I think that's the number one reversal that has to occur in any relationship for things to transform. That as long as we're looking at what am I getting out of a relationship, then we're going to be disappointed, we're going to be frustrated, we're going to have challenges. And so my view of things is to shift that with people. And to do it in a very practical way is to really shift both parties, but also I focus on both male and female. But it is true that most men really do care, but they're not armed with the understanding of females. But I think understanding that and being actually applying it in an impactful way are 2 different things. And I think the awareness is the first step, but then training yourself so you can feel successful, because most men, and I think to some extent a great deal of women today, do not feel like this is an area they can be successful in. When you talk to people about the areas of their life that they feel strongest in, you'll almost always find they're stronger in their career, they're stronger in the relationship with their kids, they're stronger even in their body than they are in their relationship. And it's because it's so difficult when you're dealing with a person who is, got all these energies and thoughts and feelings that are completely different than you. And simultaneously, you have a love for them, but also you're facing the deep fear that everybody has underneath. And that fear is that love won't last. And when that happens, people start to really break up inside.
A decision is the first step. Decision is like a war. I got to do this or that. All right, I'm going to make myself do this. But commitment is when you now, after you've decided, you commit to do this for the long term. Whether it's hard or easy, doesn't matter. You're doing this. It takes it from this moment and it carries it into the future even when things are difficult. A woman's power is that she can feel everything simultaneously. A woman can be here talking to this woman and she's hearing both of their conversations going on and the child in the back, and can tell by the tone of voice of the child what they're doing, or they're getting in a monkey business or not. And a part of her's thinking about the checklist she needs to do over here, and she's having empathy for the woman in front of her. Guys are like, you're crazy, there's no possibility. And so women assume that men just aren't paying attention to them when men are doing what their brain does, single focus power. It's what women would be able to do if they felt the same confidence that men does. Men statistically have more confidence, not because they're smarter, not because they're bigger, not because they're stronger, because they only focus on one thing and you consider everything. The goal of this first session of this hour of power is to get you not just to realize how extraordinary your life is and appreciate what you have, but also to decide on what you want and to make it happen by making the shifts inside yourself that are necessary. But to make that happen, you're going to have to recapture what's missing. Not only what you want and what you need, but if there's one thing missing from most people's life today because of the way we live and technology, it's time.
What's another area of your life that really matters? Clearly, the way in which you deal with your relationships. Most people today have settled in this area as well because in the beginning they had this passion and this love, and now it's a friendship at best. And people think, oh, only certain people are lucky enough to have that, but there are certain strategies and skills that make that difference. And when you apply them, you can change your relationship. You can transform by transforming yourself, and then they'll have an impact on your partner. Area of life that matters clearly to all of us is time. And most people have very little mastery of this. I don't mean checking things off your list. I'm meaning squeezing out of your life what matters to you most, really shifting the way you deal with time. Your career, where is it now? Your work, or hopefully it's your mission. Where are you financially compared to where you want to be? And especially with some of the changes that have happened in the economies around the world. And then finally, where are you in your level of sense of meaning, of contribution, and your sense of celebration in life? These are the areas that really matter most. And we help you to sit down and define what this looks like for you today. And invariably what we find out is almost everybody has some gaps. Yes, because many people in this field think, oh no, that's a phase in the relationship. That phase, where everything is just la la la, beautiful, and having that expectation is, that's what's wrong with people. They need to lower their expectation to get realistic about marriage. That is not what it's about. I want to tell you something. I've spent the last 20 years of my life interviewing people that are having amazing relationships, who've been together 20, 30, and 40 years, and they don't just hang out, they love each other, and they're passionate for each other. Passionate. I interviewed a couple that came to one of my seminars. It wasn't a relationship seminar. And they're at one program I called Date with Destiny that I do. It's a 6-day program. And for 5 days in a row, this couple sat in the front row. He was 92 years old. She is 89. And they were playing so full out. I mean, so full out. Because my seminars are not about just sitting and listening. We do stuff. But during any break or sense of a break, they were touching each other, holding each other, and it was getting out of control. It's like, get a room. And so, it was really tough, and they kept being in the front row. I was a little distracted here, So finally I stopped everything I was doing and I said, I want to interview you two. Come up here on stage. And I brought them on stage, got 2 chairs, and I said, I want to understand something. I said, you guys have been married how many years? 52 years. That's amazing. Now, clearly you love each other, but it appears you also love each other. And they said, oh yes. And I said, you guys seem to have a lot of passion for each other. And they both said, oh yes, of course. I said, what's the secret to your 52 years? And the lady said, well, you can't just love, you gotta touch. And everybody cracked up, And I said, well, so you still at this age have great physical passion? They said, of course. And he said, oh my God, I live for it. He's 92, right? And I said, well, what's the secret to your physical passion? And she said, well, we try anything once. And if we like it, we do it again. I'm like, okay, that's good. See, this understanding of compounding is how you can free yourself from this idea that somehow you've got to make this giant score. Because the more you try to create that giant score, even if you get it, usually isn't kept. And how can I say that? Because I've been in this business working with people, some of the greatest entertainers, actors, musicians, sports stars, government officials who go off and make money afterwards. And I can tell you one thing, rarely do they keep it because they've never understood how to really tap into this power. And I'll give you one more example because Bert gave it to me at the time. He said, Ben Franklin, when he was living alive, there were 2 cities that were kind of like sister cities for him. And it was Philadelphia and Boston. He went back and forth between them. They felt like hometowns to him. So when he died in 1790, he gave both cities $1,000. But the control and the guide was they couldn't be touched. The money had to be invested, had to be left alone for 100 years. After 100 years, he already calculated what he knew it would be worth. He said they could both take out $500,000. That 1,000 would be worth 500,000, he had calculated, or more. It was actually worth a lot more. And then at 200 years, they have to leave the rest in and let it accumulate. And at 200 years, they could take all the money out for both cities. Well, both cities got a $500,000 hit from a $1,000 investment 100 years out. That's pretty amazing mathematics when it grows. You think about that. Nothing was added to it. It was just natural interest growing, the growth that happened in the market. And then what happened in 200 years? That $1,000 had grown to $6.5 million, even though they'd already taken $500,000 out and they didn't even get to compound for 100 years. 6.5 million, that's a 3,000% return. So compounding is amazing. And I know you've heard of it. I'm sure you've got examples you've heard. But what I really want to do in this particular session with you is get you to take step 1 to financial freedom. And that is to start tapping this power. And the way you're going to tap this power is give up the illusion that you're going to get this home run. I'll help you with a home run. And I want you from now on to decide, when you're interacting with those you love, which level of love are you going with? Level 1 love is baby love. How loving are babies? No, they're not.
I feel the same way. We all love babies. That's because we're drugged, right? Babies love us as long as we give them
what they want.
If you don't give a baby what he wants, what does a baby do?
Yeah.
Scream, yell, whine, right? Sounds familiar, doesn't it, Erica? If you don't give me what I want. So that baby love, that brat-like love, is not really love. It's just a demand. So that's level one. Level two would be, okay, I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna give to you, I'm gonna support you, but there's a hook on the other end. I call it horse trading. I'm giving. I might even say I want anything. But in the back of my mind, if I don't receive some point, I'm pissed off. That's not love. When you love somebody, what will you do for them? What will you do?
Anything.
Anything. You're not doing it to get something. So when you give, and there's some part of you, and sometimes we do it consciously to get something, sometimes it's unconscious. We don't even realize it. I'm expecting if I give to you, you'll give back to me. You don't, I'm pissed off. That's not love, that's horse trading. Another word more direct that sounds pretty horrible is whoring. Both men and women whore. We've all been whores where we gave, but only to get. Well, maybe you've not been that. Who here has ever acted like one? Because a whore will give you love as long as you give her what she wants. Who's ever done this, man or woman, before in your life where you horse traded? Let me see your hands. Oh yeah, 2 guys in the room, sure. But I see you raising your hand, Erica, and I trust you for that. I respect you for that. There's a third level of love, almost done. Third level is real love. Real love is something you give because it's who you are. You're not giving it because they did what you wanted. You're not doing it because they're going to give you something back. It's because to withhold your love is the only thing that gives you pain. Whenever you think you're punishing another person by withholding your love, you're punishing yourself. When you just give that love, it's pure. And what's the fourth level? Fourth level is people like a Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who they love, even it's pure spirit love. You love even those that hurt you. Now, you don't stay there and let them continue to hurt you, but you still love them. The Dalai Lama, if you ever spend time with him, he doesn't pray for the Chinese soldiers because he feels he's better than they are. He really prays that they get escape from the pain. Even though he lost his family, his country, it's sincere, it's real. And everyone, you don't have to be Dalai Lama or Nelson Mandela. We've all been in states where we've been magnanimous, where we gave, where there was no return. We gave even those that hurt us, and that's when we become spiritually connected. Now, all of us go up and down this ladder all the time, don't we? We all are baby love brats at times. We're mad not getting what I want. We're all trading at times. Sometimes we're pure love, and sometimes we really step up. The secret is, where's your center of gravity? Think about it. Think about our lives today and how different it is than maybe the way we were formed to be made, to run, to hunt, to create, to procreate, to raise our children, to move, to farm, to do all the things that made us use all of our body. Today, what do? You wake up and you have this box life. You have a box breakfast, right? You get in your box car, you drive to your box office, you load up a box elevator. You don't use the stairs, of course, right? You go to your box office where you type on a box, talk on a box, right? Go into a box room for meetings, right? Sure enough, got a little box you can type on, listen to music on box, have your box lunch, drive your box home, or get in the train or subway, another box home, get home to your box, and then turn on the box, type on a box, message on a box, and maybe go get a cylinder to change your state, right? Maybe. And most people's idea of exercise in our society today is fill the tub, pull the plug, and fight the current. It's because I've been obsessed with a question for most of my life, and the question really is, what makes the difference in people's lives? Why do some people perform so poorly consistently even though they have every advantage? And why are there some people that perform at the highest level have every disadvantage? And why are there some people that achieve everything they dreamed of and they're miserable? How many know somebody that has every reason to be grateful for their life and they're not? They're frustrated, they're pissed off, they're worried. How many know somebody like this? Say I. I teach people that daily you have to prime yourself. You have to do something for 10 minutes minimum. If you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. And
ooh, that's so good.
I just you've got to do it, right?
That's good. If you don't have 10 minutes,
you don't have a life
to give to priming yourself.
That's right.
You don't have a life.
Want a prime life. You want a beautiful life. You want a beautiful family.
Oh, I love that you
but
say
I do this first time I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
People always ask me, how do you so up all the time? But part of it is I attend all these seminars.
Yes.
I teach all this. But the real reason is
you prime yourself.
I prime myself. That's what I've done for years. It's like I change my body to this radical breathing pattern or movement. There's many ways to do it. But then I do it through 10 minutes. And it usually goes more because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But 10 minutes is how I get myself to do it. 3.5 minutes of pure gratitude about 3 things. And I pick one of those 3 to be simple because I don't want to be the astronaut that, he went to the moon, that was his idea of adventure, and then they all come back and were depressed because what do I do for the rest of my life?
Yes.
So the wind in my face, my children's faces, anything. And the reason for gratitude is the 2 emotions that mess us up the most are fear and anger. Yeah. And you can't be grateful and fearful simultaneously. They don't go together. And you can't be angry and grateful simultaneously. So if you literally start your day cultivating that, this is the part I was talking about, creating a highway to happiness.
Yeah.
And then I do 3 minutes of my 3 to thrive. What are 3 outcomes or results I'm really committed to, and I see them as done and fulfilled? Success is caring about other people. Success is calling and saying, I love you in the middle of the day for no damn reason. Or sending a note. That'll change your relationship. Have a ritual of something funny, playful, or a surprise you do. How many relationships are dead today because they have no surprise rituals anymore? You need to have some rituals, some cool things you do that nobody else does that gives you a better life than anybody else has. All the little stuff. That's where success comes from. A breakthrough is when there's something you struggle with for a long time. You say you're going to change. You say you're going to make it happen. You're going to lose that weight. You're going to grow your revenues. You're going to make that profit. You're going to make something happen. You're going to find that relationship. You're going to stop smoking, and you get right near the edge, and then you pull back. Who's done this multiple times before, but then finally had a breakthrough. You broke through and actually changed it. Say I. So jot down what a breakthrough is, and let me give you the 3 steps of it. A breakthrough is a moment in time. That's what it is. It's a moment in time. It's a moment where suddenly what was impossible becomes possible. And what makes it possible is you take immediate, massive what? Immediate, massive what? Action. For that to happen, for the impossible to become possible, and for you to have action that's going to get results, really, I found over the years, any kind of breakthrough that you're going to have requires 3 things to it. And if you never see me again, and you're ever in a place where you say, I'm sick of fighting this, I'm sick of not getting results I want, I don't want to just learn more, I want to break through. If you remember this and go back to this simple formula, and by the way, I've made this simple purposely. You know why? Complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complex you make it, the less likely you're going to execute. I'm so good at getting people to do things because I make it so damn simple, you can't miss it. So let's do it. What's it going to take to have a breakthrough?
I mean, I meet people all the time in relationships, and they want relationship therapy. And I say, you know what you got to do? You got to exercise. You got to work out. You got to lose some weight. You guys are just so tired. There couldn't possibly be any passion. When you're exhausted, there is no passion. And you'll say, okay, well, I'm going to really work on a plan, and I'm going to organize things, and I'm going to find the best trainer. And I come back, I'm talking to them a week later, and they're still planning things. This woman's telling me, no, but I'm going to get the best trainer. I'm going to have the very best trainer to organize this. I said, ma'am, with all due respect, you don't need a plan. You need a trainer. You need somebody who gets behind you and just yells, run! Move!